The message arrived on a Tuesday morning at 0947 station time. Commander Minho sat in his chair on Defense Station Obsidian 7, holding his third cup of coffee and watching the morning report scroll across his screen. The station floated quietly at the edge of human space, a metal ring spinning slowly against the backdrop of distant stars. His communication officer, a young woman named Yunji, looked up from her console with wide eyes. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission." It's massive. Every frequency, every channel." Minho set down his coffee. "Pirates? No, sir. The signal strength is incredible. Whoever they are, they have serious power." Yunji pressed a few buttons. "Should I put it on screen?" "Might as well. Nothing else is happening today." The main view screen flickered to life. A creature appeared that made several crew members gasp. It stood at least 3 meters tall, covered in crystalline armor that reflected light in rainbow patterns. Its face was angular and alien, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Behind it, hundreds of warships filled the screen, each one larger than anything humanity had built in the last century. "People of the Terran Federation," the creature began, its voice deep and resonating, "I am War Marshal Drenvik of the Vryn Empire. For 12,000 years we have ruled the stars. We have conquered 400 civilizations. We have brought order to chaos and unity to disorder." Minho took another sip of coffee. "This is going to take a while," he muttered. The War Marshal continued. "Your species has expanded into territory that belongs to the Vryn Empire by ancient right. You have built colonies on worlds we claimed 6,000 years ago. You have ignored our markers. You have trespassed." Yunji leaned over to Minho. "Sir, should we be recording this?" "The computer's doing it automatically. Just let it run." Therefore, Drenvik raised one armored arm dramatically. "The Vryn Empire hereby declares total war upon humanity. We claim all your worlds. We claim all your resources. We claim all your people. You have dishonored us by your presence. You will be removed from the stars," the War Marshal went on, and on. He listed grievances that dated back centuries. He explained Vryn military traditions. He described battles they had won against other species. He detailed the specific ways humanity had offended them. The speech lasted 43 minutes. When it finally ended, the screen went dark. The bridge sat in silence for a moment. "Well," Minho said slowly, "that was dramatic." "Sir, what do we do?" Yunji asked, her voice shaking slightly. Minho pulled up his message system and started typing. "Forward it to Central Command. Mark it as priority. Let's say medium-high. And add a note. Another declaration of war received. Appears serious. Please advise. Medium-high priority? Sir, they have hundreds of warships. Yunji, how long have you been stationed here?" 6 months, sir." "Right. So you haven't been through one of these yet." Minho leaned back in his chair. "We get these every few years. Some empire or alliance decides humans are a threat, or we're on their land, or we looked at them funny. They make big speeches. They wave their weapons around. Then command sends a diplomat, or we move a few colonies, or we pay them something shiny and everyone goes home happy. But sir, trust me, if they actually wanted to fight, they wouldn't spend 40 minutes talking about it first. Real attacks don't come with speeches." He finished his coffee. "Keep monitoring. Let me know if they actually do anything." Across the galaxy on Earth, junior diplomat Hana was having a terrible morning. Her coffee machine had broken. Her apartment's heating system was making strange noises. And now, as she arrived at the Federation Diplomatic Corps building, her supervisor was waiting at her desk. "Hana, good, you're here." Supervisor Taejin dropped a datapad on her desk. "New assignment. High priority." Hana's heart sank. High priority assignments meant long hours and complicated negotiations. "What is it?" "Declaration of war. Some empire called the Vryn? They sent a very long, very detailed message explaining why they're going to destroy us." "Another one?" Hana groaned. "That's the 3rd this year. I know, but this one seems more serious. They actually have a fleet. A big one. Defense Station Obsidian 7 spotted 800-plus warships." Hana picked up the datapad and scrolled through the War Marshal's speech. She yawned. "Okay, standard response protocol? Yeah, acknowledge receipt, express our commitment to peaceful dialogue, and put them in the queue. The queue is pretty long right now. We still haven't finished negotiations with the Mordathi about those mining rights." Taejin shrugged. "Not my problem. Just send the response. Make it polite." Hana spent the next 20 minutes drafting a reply. She kept it professional and courteous. The Terran Federation acknowledges your declaration and recognizes the seriousness of your concerns. We are committed to resolving all disputes through peaceful dialogue. Your case has been assigned reference number TF2293B. Current estimated response time is 6 to 8 months. Please be patient as we work through our diplomatic queue. We appreciate your understanding. She added an automated signature, attached a PDF of the Federation's dispute resolution process, and sent it off. Then she returned to the mining rights negotiation, which was actually interesting because it involved profit-sharing percentages. Light years away, aboard the Vryn flagship Eternal Conquest, War Marshal Drenvik waited. He stood in the command center surrounded by his officers. They had sent the declaration 3 hours ago. By now they expected panic. Terror, perhaps immediate surrender. War Marshal, his communication officer reported, "We have received a response from the humans." "Excellent. Display it." The message appeared on screen. Drenvik read it once, then twice. His crystalline face darkened with confusion. They gave us a reference number." "Yes, War Marshal." "TF2293B. And a waiting period? 6 to 8 months?" "The message is quite clear, sir." Drenvik turned to his tactical officer. "What does this mean? Is it some kind of code? A human strategy we don't understand?" The tactical officer, a veteran of 300 battles, looked equally confused. "I have never encountered this response before, War Marshal. Perhaps they did not understand the severity of our declaration. We spoke for 40 minutes, in 17 languages. We showed them our fleet. Perhaps humans process information differently than other species." Drenvik paced across the command center. This was wrong. This was all wrong. When the Vryn Empire declared war, civilizations trembled, planets evacuated, governments collapsed. They did not send polite auto-replies with reference numbers. "War Marshal," another officer spoke up. "Perhaps they are simply unafraid?" The command center went silent. The idea was absurd. The Vryn Empire had conquered civilizations that had ruled the stars for millennia. Their military might was legendary. Their warriors were trained from birth. Their technology had been refined over 12,000 years of constant warfare. And yet the humans had replied like he was filing a customer service complaint. "Send another message," Drenvik ordered. "Make it clear that this is not a negotiation. This is war. Totalva. We will not wait 6 months." "Yes, War Marshal," the message was sent. An hour later, another auto-reply arrived. "Your follow-up message has been added to case TF2293B. Please do not send duplicate requests as this may delay processing. Thank you for your patience." Drenvik stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he turned to his fleet coordinator. "Prepare the 3rd Scouting Fleet. We will investigate human defenses ourselves. If they will not take our words seriously, they will take our weapons seriously." "Yes, War Marshal. Which system should we target?" "Their mining operations. Show them we are not to be ignored." Across human space, life continued as normal. Freighters hauled cargo between systems. Colonists built new settlements on frontier worlds. Scientists studied strange phenomena in distant nebulas. And on Defense Station Obsidian 7, Commander Minho finished his shift and went to bed, completely forgetting about the declaration of war he had forwarded that morning. It was just another Tuesday. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter had always been humanity's industrial heartland. Thousands of mining operations worked around the clock, breaking apart rocks older than Earth itself, extracting precious metals and rare elements that fed the growing human civilization. Donghae had worked in the belt for 15 years. He ran a mid-sized operation with 12 crew members, 3 mining ships, and enough equipment to process about 2,000 tons of ore per day. It was honest work, if boring. Wake up, find an asteroid, break it apart, process the minerals, move to the next one. Day after day, week after week. He floated in the control room of his main ship, the Lucky Fortune, watching his crew work on a particularly rich iron-nickel asteroid. The mining lasers carved through rock like butter, and the automated systems sorted and stored the valuable material. Everything was running smoothly. "Boss?" His second-in-command Soman called from her station. "We've got ships on approach." "Big ones," Donghae sighed. "Pirates again? I thought we dealt with them last month. These aren't pirates. The signatures are. I've never seen anything like this. They're huge and there are 12 of them." Dong-hae pulled up the scanner display. 12 massive warships were indeed approaching, each one bristling with weapons and covered in that strange crystalline armor. They moved in perfect formation, like dancers who had practiced their routine 1,000 times. Well, that's new, Dong-hae muttered. He opened a communication channel. Attention unknown vessels, this is the mining ship Lucky Fortune. You're entering a designated commercial zone. Please state your intentions. The response came immediately. A massive alien face appeared on his screen, similar to the one from the declaration that Dong-hae vaguely remembered seeing in the news feeds last week. He hadn't paid much attention. Politics wasn't his thing. Human vessel, this is Commander Thralix of the Vrin Empire 3rd Scouting Fleet. You are operating in territory claimed by the Vrin Empire. Power down your ships and prepare to be boarded. Dong-hae blinked. I'm sorry, what? This belt has been human mining territory for over a century. We have legal claims filed with the Federation Mining Guild and everything. Your claims are meaningless. The Vrin Empire declared war on humanity. All human assets are now forfeit. Surrender immediately. Look, I don't do politics. I just mine rocks. If you have a territorial dispute, you need to file it with the Mining Guild. I can give you their contact information. This is your final warning, human. Power down or be destroyed. Dong-hae looked at Soman. She shrugged. Boss, we can't fight warships. We're miners. I know that. But I've got quotas to meet. We're already behind this month because of that solar flare last week. He turned back to the screen. Listen, Commander Thralix, I really need to finish processing this asteroid. Can we schedule this for next week? I promise I'll talk to the guild about your territorial claims. The Vrin commander's face darkened. You dare mock the Vrin Empire? You dare? One of the Vrin warships fired. A bright blue beam lanced out, passing just above the Lucky Fortune's hull. It was meant as a warning shot, something to scare the humans into compliance. Hey, Dong-hae shouted. Watch where you're shooting. You almost hit us. That was intentional, human. The next shot will not miss. Surrender now. Dong-hae felt his temper rising. 15 years in the belt had taught him to deal with pirates, equipment failures, and crew disputes. But these aliens were threatening his livelihood over some political nonsense he didn't even understand. Fine, he growled. You want to play rough? Soman, activate the mining lasers. Full power. Boss, those are for cutting asteroids, not just do it. The Lucky Fortune's main mining laser powered up. It was an industrial tool designed to slice through solid rock at extreme temperatures and pressures. The beam was focused, precise, and incredibly powerful. It had to be to cut through asteroids efficiently. Dong-hae aimed it at the nearest Vrin warship and fired. The beam cut through the warship's shields like they weren't even there. It punched through the crystalline armor, through the hull, through the internal compartments and out the other side. The warship split in two, both halves tumbling away in different directions. The bridge of the Lucky Fortune went completely silent. Oops, Dong-hae said quietly. Boss, Soman whispered. You just destroyed a warship with a mining laser. I didn't mean to. I thought they'd have better shields. It's just a mining tool. The remaining 11 Vrin ships opened fire simultaneously. Blue beams filled the space around the Lucky Fortune. Dong-hae yanked the controls, spinning the ship away from the asteroid. The mining vessel was slow and clumsy compared to warships, but in the tight space of the asteroid belt that didn't matter as much. Return fire, Dong-hae shouted. All mining lasers full power. His crew, trained to work in dangerous conditions and make quick decisions, responded instantly. The Lucky Fortune's 3 mining lasers carved through the void. Another Vrin ship took a direct hit and exploded. A third lost its engines and began spinning wildly. This is insane, Soman yelled over the alarms. We're winning! We're not supposed to be winning. We're miners. Dong-hae dodged another volley of enemy fire. Someone call the defense force. Tell them we have a situation here. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted 17 minutes. The Vrin ships were faster and more maneuverable, but their weapons couldn't penetrate the Lucky Fortune's shields, which were designed to protect against radiation, micrometeorites, and extreme temperatures. The mining lasers, meanwhile, cut through Vrin armor like hot knives through butter. When it was over, 5 Vrin ships were destroyed or disabled. The remaining 7 retreated at maximum speed, broadcasting confused and panicked messages to their command fleet. Dong-hae sat in his chair, breathing hard. His hands were shaking. What? What just happened? I think we won, Somin said, sounding equally shocked. We're miners. We're not supposed to win space battles. A new voice crackled over the communication system. Mining vessel Lucky Fortune, this is Defense Station Obsidian 7. We received your distress call. What's your status? Dong-A recognized Commander Minho's voice. Commander, we were attacked by some aliens. They said something about a war? We kind of accidentally destroyed some of their ships. There was a long pause. You destroyed warships? With what weapons? Mining lasers, sir. They cut right through. I didn't think it would work. Another pause. How many did you destroy? 5, maybe 6. One was spinning pretty badly when they left. With mining equipment. Yes, sir. Minho sighed heavily through the speaker. Okay, stay where you are. Don't touch anything. Don't talk to anyone. I'm sending a report to Central Command and they are not going to believe me. Sir, am I in trouble? They shot first. You just won a space battle using mining equipment against an empire that declared war on humanity. I honestly don't know if you'll get a medal or a bill for unauthorized military action. Meanwhile, on the Vryn flagship Eternal Conquest, War Marshal Drenvik listened to Commander Thralix's report with growing disbelief. Say that again, Drenvik ordered. War Marshal, we engaged a human mining vessel. It destroyed 5 of our ships before we retreated. Their weapons. They cut through our armor like it was paper. I have never seen anything like it. A mining vessel? Not a warship? Correct, War Marshal. The humans identified themselves as miners. They claimed to have no military affiliation. Drenvik's 4 eyes narrowed. And their weapons? They appeared to be industrial tools. Mining lasers based on the frequency analysis. But War Marshal, they were incredibly powerful. Our shields meant nothing. Our armor meant nothing. Drenvik dismissed Thralix and called an emergency council meeting. His top officers gathered in the command center, their expressions grim. We attacked miners, Drenvik said slowly, and they defeated our scouting fleet. Perhaps, one officer suggested carefully, humans arm all their vessels, even civilian ones? Or perhaps, another officer said, their civilian technology is more advanced than our military technology. The thought sent a chill through the room. The Vryn Empire had spent 12,000 years perfecting the art of war. They had conquered 400 civilizations. Their weapons were legendary. Their armor was unbreakable. And a human miner with industrial equipment had destroyed 5 warships in 17 minutes. What do we know about human military capabilities? Drenvik asked. Very little, War Marshal. They rarely engage in warfare. Most of their ships are designed for exploration and commerce. Find out more. Send intelligence teams. Observe their colonies. Study their ships. Drenvik stared at the star map showing human space. We need to know what we're facing before we commit our main fleet. Back on the Lucky Fortune, Dong-Hae looked at the debris floating around his ship. His crew was already back to work, processing the asteroid they'd been mining before the interruption. It seemed almost surreal that they'd just fought a battle. Summon, he said quietly. Remind me to file a complaint with the mining guild about territorial violations, and maybe invest in better insurance. I think our premiums are about to go up. 3 months had passed since the Vryn Empire's declaration of war, and War Marshal Drenvik was growing increasingly frustrated. His intelligence reports painted a confusing picture of humanity. They were explorers, traders, scientists, and builders. They had colonies on hundreds of worlds. They had thousands of ships traveling between systems, but they had almost no military presence. How can a civilization expand across so many stars without a proper military? Drenvik asked his council for the 10th time. They have defense stations, one officer reported, but they're lightly armed. Most of their weapons are designed to destroy asteroids or debris that might threaten colonies. And their ships? Cargo vessels, science ships, mining operations, colony transports. We have identified only 3 vessels that appear to be purpose-built warships, and 2 of them are in museum orbit around Earth. Drenvik stood and paced. Then we will hit them where they cannot ignore us. Mars Colony. It's one of their oldest settlements. Millions of people. If we attack Mars, they will have to respond with their military. If they have one, an officer muttered. They must have one. No civilization survives in space without warriors. Drenvik turned to his fleet coordinator. Prepare the 3rd Fleet, 300 ships. We will show humanity what real war looks like. On Mars, Administrator Xiongwan was having a difficult day. The southern hemisphere was experiencing dust storms that were interfering with solar panels. The water recycling system in Dome 7 needed expensive repairs. And now, sitting on his desk, was a priority message from Earth about an incoming alien fleet. He read it twice. 300 warships heading for Mars. Estimated arrival, 6 days. Prepare defensive measures. Seung-hwan rubbed his tired eyes. He managed a colony of 3 million people. His job was infrastructure, resource allocation, and making sure everyone had food, water, and air. Defense was not his area of expertise. He called his assistant. Jiho, get me whoever is in charge of Mars defense. That would be Militia Commander Jiwoo, sir. Militia? We have a militia? Yes, sir. It was formed about 20 years ago after that pirate incident. Right. Get her on the line. Jiwoo appeared on his screen a few minutes later. She was young, maybe 30, with short hair and a no-nonsense expression. Administrator, I heard about the incoming fleet. I'm already reviewing our defensive options. Good, what do we have? Jiwoo's expression didn't change. 4 defense satellites, 6 surface-to-orbit missile platforms, though 3 of them haven't been tested in 5 years, and about 50 militia members with basic training. Seung-hwan stared at her. That's it? Mars is a civilian colony, sir. We've never needed more. And now we have 300 alien warships arriving in less than a week. Yes, sir. I'm aware of the problem, Seung-hwan thought for a moment. What about evacuating? Where? Would we send 3 million people on 6 days' notice? We don't have enough ships. Right. Okay, what's your plan? Jiwoo pulled up a tactical display. I've been studying the reports from the asteroid belt incident. The Vrin ships have weak shields and thin armor. Their weapons are powerful but not precise. My plan is to use our automated cargo drones. Our what? The cargo drones we use to move supplies between domes and the orbital stations. They're heavily armored because they have to survive the dust storms. Their guidance systems are very reliable, and we have about 200 of them. Seung-hwan began to see where this was going. You want to use cargo drones as weapons? Not as weapons, sir, as obstacles. I'll program them to fly directly at the Vrin fleet. The drones are tough. They'll survive initial weapons fire. The Vrin will have to waste ammunition shooting them down. Meanwhile, our actual defensive satellites can target their command ships. Will it work? Jiwoo shrugged. I have no idea. I've never fought a space battle before. I'm a systems engineer who got volunteered for militia duty because I'm good with computers. That's not reassuring. Sir, with all respect, we're a civilian colony facing an invasion by a military empire that's been conquering worlds for thousands of years. Nothing about this situation is reassuring. Seung-hwan couldn't argue with that logic. Do it, use the cargo drones, use whatever you need, just keep those ships away from my colony. The Vrin Third Fleet arrived at Mars 6 days later. War Marshal Drenvik observed from his flagship, pleased with the sight of 300 warships in perfect formation. Mars hung before them, a red sphere dotted with the lights of human settlements. Begin the attack, Drenvik ordered. Target the population centers. Make them understand the cost of defying the Vrin Empire. The fleet moved forward. As they approached orbital range, scanners detected movement from the planet's surface. War Marshal, we're reading multiple launches, 200+ objects heading toward us. Missiles? Unknown. They're large, moving at moderate speed. Destroy them. The Vrin fleet opened fire. Blue beams lanced out, striking the approaching objects. The first wave of cargo drones absorbed the hits and kept coming. They were built to withstand micrometeorites and radiation storms. Laser fire barely scratched their armor. Report, Drenvik demanded. The objects are not being destroyed, War Marshal. They appear to be. Cargo containers? What? Analysis confirms. They're automated shipping drones, civilian equipment. Drenvik felt a familiar frustration rising. First mining lasers, now cargo drones. Did humanity fight all their battles with civilian equipment? Concentrate fire. Destroy them all. The battle became chaotic. The cargo drones, programmed by Jiwoo to fly erratically and maintain formation, wove between the Vrin warships. The fleet had to split its attention between destroying the drones and watching for actual military attacks. Collisions occurred. 2 Vrin ships struck each other while trying to dodge a particularly large drone. Meanwhile, Mars's 4 defense satellites activated. Their weapons were simple railguns designed to shoot down dangerous asteroids. They fired solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. The Vrin ships focused on the drone swarm didn't notice until the projectiles started hitting. One satellite scored a direct hit on a Vrin destroyer. The metal slug punched through the hull and detonated the ship's power core. The explosion took out 2 nearby vessels. "War Marshal!" his tactical officer shouted. "We're taking casualties!" "From what? Cargo drones and asteroid defense systems?" "Yes, War Marshal." The battle lasted 6 hours. The Vrin fleet destroyed all 200 cargo drones and 2 of the defense satellites. But they lost 18 ships in the process, with dozens more damaged. And Mars colony itself remained untouched behind its orbital defense grid. Drenvik finally ordered the retreat. As his battered fleet pulled back, he stared at the red planet with a mixture of confusion and growing respect. "Contact Mars colony," he ordered. "I want to speak with their military commander." Jiwoo's face appeared on his screen. She looked tired but calm. "This is Militia Commander Jiwoo. Are you surrendering?" "Surrendering?" Drenvik's voice rose. "We are the Vrin Empire. We have 300 warships. You have cargo drones. Had cargo drones. You destroyed them all. That's 40 million credits worth of equipment. Administrator Seungwon is very upset about it. You fought us with shipping containers. What did you expect? We're a civilian colony. We don't have warships." Jiwoo leaned forward. "Look, if you want to continue this war, that's your choice. But you should know that you just spent 6 hours and lost 18 ships fighting our civilian transportation system. Our actual military, if we ever bother to use it, is probably a lot more effective. You're bluffing. Humans don't have a military. Then what are you afraid of? Come back, attack again, see what happens." Jiwoo's expression remained neutral. "Or, and I'm just suggesting this, you could talk to our diplomats like civilized beings and work out whatever territorial dispute made you angry in the first place." Drenvik ended the transmission and sat in silence. His officers waited nervously. "War Marshal," one finally asked, "what are your orders?" "Tell me again why we declared war on humanity. They built colonies on worlds we claimed 6,000 years ago. And do we currently use those worlds?" "No, War Marshal. We have no population there. The claims were ceremonial. So we declared war over empty worlds. It's a matter of honor, War Marshal. The Vrin Empire does not yield territory." Drenvik thought about cargo drones destroying his fleet. He thought about mining lasers cutting through his warships. He thought about the growing casualty reports and the lack of any significant human military response. Send a message to the War Council. Tell them the human resistance is stronger than anticipated. Request strategic analysis before committing further forces. What Drenvik didn't say, what he barely wanted to admit to himself, was that he was beginning to suspect humanity hadn't shown their real strength yet. They were fighting with mining, equipment and shipping containers and still holding their own. What would happen if humanity actually tried? On Mars, Seunghwan read Jiwoo's battle report and sighed. 40 million credits worth of cargo drones destroyed. This is coming out of somebody's budget. "We saved the colony," Jiwoo pointed out. "I know. Good job, by the way, but now I have to file paperwork explaining why we used critical shipping infrastructure as ammunition. The accountants are going to have a field day." "Should I prepare for another attack?" Seunghwan looked at the damage reports. 2 satellites destroyed, 3 missile platforms expended, 0 actual casualties. "Honestly, I think we scared them more than they scared us. But yes, prepare. And next time, try not to use equipment that's expensive to replace." "I'll see what I can do, sir. Maybe we can use the old atmospheric processors. They're scheduled for decommissioning anyway. Whatever works. Just keep those aliens away from my domes. I have enough problems without adding war to the list." The emergency session of the Terran Federation Council took place on a cold morning in Geneva. Representatives from all major colonies gathered in the historic chamber, many of them appearing via hologram from across human space. President Nari called the session to order. She was a practical woman in her 60s who had spent most of her career managing trade disputes and infrastructure projects. War was not something she had expected to deal with during her term. "Let's review the situation," she began, pulling up a star map. 3 months ago, the Vryn Empire declared war on humanity. Since then, they've attacked our miners in the asteroid belt and launched an assault on Mars colony. Both attacks were repelled using civilian equipment. Current casualties, 0. Current economic damage, approximately 60 million credits in destroyed cargo drones and mining equipment. A representative from Mars spoke up. Madam President, while I'm pleased we had no casualties, the economic disruption has been significant. Trade routes are being delayed. Mining operations are requesting military escorts. People are nervous. I understand. Which brings us to the question, do we actually commit military resources to this conflict? The council chamber buzzed with conversation. Admiral Suhyun, the highest-ranking officer in the small Terran Defense Force, stood to speak. Madam President, with respect, we have very limited military assets. 3 active warships, 24 defense stations, and various patrol craft. We've never needed more because we've never faced a serious military threat. What about the TFS Indomitable? Someone asked. Isn't that our newest ship? The Indomitable is technically a warship, yes, but it's primarily designed for deep space exploration and research. Captain Hyun is currently conducting a scientific survey of the Helios Nebula. President Nari made a decision. Pull him back. Send the Indomitable to intercept the Vryn fleet. We need to make a show of force, even if we're not actually planning to fight. And if the Vryn engage, then Captain Hyun will have to use his best judgment, but tell him to avoid conflict if possible. We're trying to end this war, not escalate it. Captain Hyun received his new orders while studying stellar formation patterns in the Helios Nebula. He read the message twice, then called his first officer, Bo-young, to the bridge. We're being recalled, Hyun said, frustration clear in his voice. Some empire declared war on us, and apparently we need to do something about it. Bo-young pulled up the intelligence reports. The Vryn Empire. They've been raiding our outer colonies. The Council wants us to intercept their main fleet. We're a research vessel. We have weapons. We have a mining beam for collecting geological samples and shield generators designed to let us fly near stars. We're not built for combat. I don't think the Council cares, sir. Orders are orders. Hyun sighed and looked at his nebula data. 3 more months and he would have completed the survey. 3 months of careful observation ruined by politics. Fine. Plot a course to the Vryn rally point. Let's get this over with. The TFS Indomitable was an impressive ship by human standards. It measured 2 kilometers long, with a sleek design that minimized drag in stellar winds. Its shields could withstand radiation from dying stars. Its sensors could detect planets orbiting distant suns. Its main beam could punch through planetary crust to extract core samples. It was not designed to fight 800 warships. Captain Hyun stood on the bridge as they approached the Vryn rally point. The enemy fleet filled his view screen, a vast armada of crystalline ships arranged in perfect military formation. It was intimidating even to someone who didn't understand military tactics. Sir, they're detecting us, Bo-young reported. All ships are powering weapons. Of course they are, open a channel. War Marshal Drenvik's face appeared on screen. His 4 eyes widened in surprise. A single human ship? You send 1 ship against our entire fleet? War Marshal Drenvik, I'm Captain Hyun of the Terran Federation ship Indomitable. I'm here to discuss the current hostilities between our civilizations. Discuss? We are at war. Yes, I heard about that. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I was in the middle of important research when I got pulled back for this. I'm a scientist, not a soldier. So how about we just talk this through and figure out a solution that doesn't involve shooting at each other? Drenvik's face darkened. You mock us. You send a single ship to mock the Vryn Empire. I'm not mocking anyone. I'm trying to avoid unnecessary conflict. Hyun pulled up his star charts. According to our records, this whole war started over some territorial claims from 6,000 years ago. Claims to worlds you're not even using. Why not just negotiate new boundaries? We're reasonable people. The Vryn Empire does not negotiate. We conquer or we die trying. That seems like a limited worldview. Your insolence will not... War Marshal, please. I have a nebula to study. You have. Whatever it is you do. Can't we just settle this peacefully? We could even give you some of the disputed worlds if you need them. We have plenty of space. Drenvik stood from his command chair. You have tested our patience long enough, human. We gave you a chance to surrender. You responded with indifference. You fought us with mining tools and cargo containers. You have insulted our honor at every step. Now you will face our full might. He cut the transmission. A moment later, 800 Vryn warships opened fire. The bridge of the Indomitable lit up with warnings. Blue beams converged on their position from every direction. Hyun gripped his chair as the ship rocked. Damage report, he shouted. Boyoung checked her console. Shields holding at 98%. They're not even scratching us, sir. What? Our shields are designed to let us fly through solar coronas. These weapons are. They're not powerful enough to penetrate. Hyun stared at the view screen as hundreds of beams struck his ship harmlessly. It was like rain hitting a roof. Annoying, but not dangerous. They're still firing, sir. What should we do? Can we outrun them? Easily. Their ships are slower than ours. Then let's... Hyun paused. If he ran, the Vryn would see it as weakness. They would continue attacking human colonies. But if he fought... Boyoung, what weapons do we have? Standard defense lasers for shooting debris, and the main mining beam. The mining beam? The one we use to drill into planets? Yes, sir, it's quite powerful. Hyun thought about the reports from the asteroid belt. The miners had destroyed Vryn ships with industrial lasers. The Indomitable's mining beam was far more powerful, designed to punch through the crust of entire worlds. Target their flagship, Hyun ordered. Mining beam, minimum power. I don't want to destroy them, just disable their weapons. Sir, minimum power might still be too much. Then aim for a non-critical section. Fire. The Indomitable's mining beam activated. It was a focused lance of energy, capable of maintaining cohesion across millions of kilometers. At minimum power, it was still more concentrated than anything the Vryn had ever encountered. The beam struck the Vryn flagship Eternal Conquest, dead center. It punched through the shields, through the armor, through the entire ship from bow to stern. The flagship split in half and exploded, taking War Marshal Drenvik and his entire command staff with it. The bridge of the Indomitable went silent. I said non-critical section, Hyun shouted. Sir, at this range, every section is critical. Their ships are too small. The Vryn fleet stopped firing. 800 warships floated in space, apparently too shocked to continue the attack. Hyun stared at the debris that had been the enemy flagship. This is why I'm a scientist, not a soldier, he muttered. Open a channel to the Vryn fleet. All ships. A new face appeared on screen. Another Vryn officer, looking shaken. I am Second Marshal Vel. War Marshal Drenvik was my commander. Second Marshal, I'm very sorry about that. It was an accident. We were trying to disable your weapons, not destroy your ship. An accident? You destroyed our flagship with a single shot. It was a mining beam. We use it to study planets. I honestly didn't think it would be that effective against a starship. Vel stared at him. A mining beam? You destroyed our flagship with a tool for studying rocks? Like I said, I'm a scientist. That's what we do. We study things. Hyun leaned forward. Look, this whole war is getting out of hand. We don't want to fight you. We've been trying to avoid fighting you. But every time we defend ourselves, we accidentally destroy your ships because our civilian equipment is apparently more advanced than your military technology. That's not... Vel paused. Our weapons cannot harm your ship. No, our shields are very good. We fly through stars sometimes. Your beams are not hot enough. And your mining beam can destroy our warships. Apparently, yes. Which is why I'm asking you, please, can we stop this war before someone gets hurt? Because so far it's only been your people getting hurt, and I don't want that. Vel was quiet for a long moment. In the background, Hyun could see other Vryn officers talking urgently. Captain Hyun, Vel finally said, you could destroy our entire fleet right now. We cannot harm you. Our shields are useless. Our weapons are useless. Why are you asking us to stop instead of simply wiping us out? Because that would be genocide. I'm a scientist, not a murderer. I don't want to kill hundreds of thousands of people over some territorial dispute that nobody even remembers the details of. The Vryn Empire has ruled through strength for 12,000 years. We conquered 400 civilizations. We have never encountered a species that could defeat us so easily and then offer peace. Well, now you have. So what do you say? Can we stop shooting at each other and actually talk like reasonable beings? Vel looked at his officers. Hyun couldn't hear what they were saying, but he could see the fear and confusion on their faces. Their entire worldview was crashing down around them. We must contact our war council, Vel said finally. This decision is beyond my authority. That's fine. Take your time, we'll wait. Hyun cut the transmission and slumped in his chair. Boyoung, send a message to Earth. Tell them the situation is under control, but I accidentally destroyed their flagship. How should I phrase that, sir? I don't know. Make it sound professional, and then find out how much paperwork is involved in causing an interstellar incident. I have a feeling it's going to be a lot. The Vryn War Council convened an emergency session aboard their home world of Vrynix Prime. The council chamber was ancient, carved from crystal that had witnessed 12,000 years of military triumph. Today, for the first time in living memory, the council gathered not to plan conquest, but to discuss defeat. Second Marshal Vel stood before them, his armor still scarred from the battle. He presented his report with military precision, though his voice carried an undertone of shock that he couldn't quite hide. Honored council members, the war with humanity is not proceeding as planned. We have lost 23 warships, including the flagship Eternal Conquest, with War Marshal Drenvik aboard. Human casualties, 0. The council chamber erupted in voices. Ancient warriors who had never known defeat struggled to process this information. How is this possible? Demanded Council Elder Thrax. We are the Vryn. Our military might is legendary. Honored Elder, humanity's civilian technology surpasses our military technology. Their mining equipment cuts through our armor. Their cargo ships survive our weapons fire. Their research vessels destroy our flagships. Vel paused. And they accomplished all of this while actively trying not to fight us. Trying not to fight? Yes, Elder. They have repeatedly attempted negotiation. They offered to give us the disputed territories. They sent a single ship to talk peace. When we forced them to defend themselves, they apologized for destroying our flagship. Another elder spoke up. Perhaps they are simply weak? Afraid of true conflict? Vel shook his head. I witnessed their ship withstand the combined firepower of 800 warships without taking damage. Their shields are designed to survive stellar radiation. Their weapons can punch through planets. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done so easily. He looked around the chamber. Honored elders, we must face the truth. We declared war on a civilization that is so far beyond us technologically that they don't even recognize us as a military threat. They think we're a nuisance to be negotiated with, not an enemy to be feared. The words hung in the crystal chamber like a death sentence. For 12,000 years, the Vryn had defined themselves through conquest. They were warriors. They were conquerors. They were the dominant military power in their region of space. And now they had encountered a species that was simply better. Not better at war, but better at everything else. And that made them better at war too, almost as an afterthought. What do you recommend, Second Marshal? Elder Thrax asked quietly. We accept their offer of peace. We negotiate, and we learn from them. Vel straightened his posture. The Vryn Empire has always adapted to survive. We must adapt now, or face extinction. The vote was unanimous. 1 week later, diplomat Hana found herself on a Federation shuttle heading toward a neutral meeting point in deep space. She still couldn't quite believe she had been chosen for this assignment. Why me? She had asked President Nari. Because you sent them their first reply, Nari had explained. The one with the reference number. Apparently it made an impression. They specifically requested the diplomat who treated their declaration of war like a customer service inquiry. Now Hana sat across from Second Marshal, Vel in a small conference room aboard a Federation diplomatic vessel. Also present was cultural anthropologist Yuna, who had studied the initial Vryn declaration and provided insights into their psychology. Second Marshal Vel, Hana began, on behalf of the Terran Federation, I want to express our condolences for your losses. We truly did not want this conflict. Vel's posture was stiff, formal. We initiated hostilities. The responsibility for our losses is ours alone. Nevertheless, we're sorry it happened. Now let's talk about how we move forward. Hana pulled up a star chart. You claimed territory in 17 systems that we've colonized. According to our historical records, those systems were unclaimed when we arrived. But I understand you have older claims. Claims from 6,000 years ago, Vel admitted, before we knew humans existed. Before we knew any of these systems were habitable. They were ceremonial markers, not active territories. Yuna leaned forward. Second Marshal, may I ask a question? Of course. Why did you declare war? Not the official reason, but the real reason. Vel was quiet for a moment. Because that is what the Vryn do. We are warriors. When we encounter other civilizations, we conquer them or they conquer us. It is our way. It has been our way for 12,000 years. And now I am questioning everything I was taught. Vel's 4 eyes met Yuna's gaze. You humans are explorers. You build instead of destroy. You create instead of conquer. And somehow through building and creating, you became so powerful that our entire military cannot harm you. How? Yuna smiled. Because we focus on other things. We study stars because they're beautiful and we want to understand them. We build strong ships because space is dangerous and we want to survive. We develop powerful tools because we have work to do. Or it's just not our priority. But you could wage war. If we had to, yes. But why would we want to? War is expensive, destructive, and it gets in the way of interesting projects. Vel absorbed this. The Vryn have never encountered a philosophy like this. Maybe it's time you did, Hana suggested gently. Second Marshal, what if instead of a peace treaty we proposed a cultural exchange? You could send observers to see how humans operate. We could learn about Vryn history and culture. Maybe we could both benefit from knowing each other. The Council would never agree to such a thing. The Vryn do not learn from those we intended to conquer. With respect, Yuna said, you didn't conquer us. You can't conquer us. Your options are either to keep trying, which will cost you more lives, or to try something new. Vel was silent for a long time. Finally he spoke. What would this cultural exchange involve? They talked for 6 hours. By the end, they had drafted an agreement that satisfied both sides. The Vryn would withdraw from all human territory. Humans would provide technical assistance to upgrade Vryn civilian infrastructure, specifically their medical facilities and environmental systems. A permanent embassy would be established on Vrynix Prime, and Vryn observers would be allowed to visit human colonies. There's one more thing, Hana said. We'd like to request a specific ambassador to Vrynix Prime. Who? A man named Donghae. He's a mining ship operator who was involved in the first encounter with your forces. Vel's eyes widened. The one who destroyed 5 of our warships? The very same. He's practical, honest, and doesn't care about politics. We think he'd be a good representative of humanity's actual character, not just our diplomatic face. A miner as an ambassador? Why not? You wanted to understand humans. Donghae is about as human as they come. He'll tell you exactly what he thinks and he'll show you how human industry actually works. Vel considered this. The Council will find it strange. But perhaps strange is what we need. The treaty was signed 3 days later in a formal ceremony broadcast across both civilizations. President Nari and the Vryn War Council exchanged documents. Speeches were made about peace and understanding. Media outlets on both sides covered every detail. Commander Minho watched the ceremony from Defense Station Obsidian 7 while drinking his morning coffee. Well, that's that, he said to Yunji, and back to normal operations. Sir, do you think they'll really stay peaceful? The Vryn, probably. They learned the hard way that humans are more trouble than we're worth. He finished his coffee. Besides, once Donghae gets there and starts explaining mining operations to them, they'll be too confused to think about war. Yunji laughed. Poor Donghae. He probably never wanted to be an ambassador. Nobody asked him yet. That's happening today. On the mining ship Lucky Fortune, Donghae was finishing his shift when he received a priority message from Earth. He opened it, read it once, then read it again. Summon, he shouted. Summon, come look at this. His second-in-command floated over. What's wrong? They want me to be an ambassador. To the Vryn homeworld. For 2 years. You? The guy who accidentally started this whole mess? That's what I said. I'm a miner. I don't know anything about diplomacy. Salman read the message. It says here you'd get a full salary, housing on an alien world and all expenses paid. Plus, you'd be helping establish peaceful relations between 2 civilizations. I just want to mine asteroids. Donghae, you destroyed 5 alien warships with mining equipment. You're practically a legend now. You might as well lean into it, Donghae groaned. This is going to be terrible. I don't speak their language. I don't understand their culture. I'm going to cause another incident. Probably, Soman agreed cheerfully, but it'll make a great story. 2 months later, Donghae arrived on Vrinix Prime. Second Marshal Vel personally greeted him at the spaceport. The Vrin officer towered over the human miner, crystalline armor glittering in the light of the alien sun. Ambassador Donghae, welcome to our world. Donghae looked around at the crystalline architecture, the strange plants, the crowds of curious Vrin watching the human visitor. Listen, before we start, I should be clear about something. I'm not really an ambassador. I'm a miner who got volunteered for this job because I accidentally blew up some of your ships. Vel's face showed something that might have been amusement. I am aware. That is precisely why you were chosen. The Vrin respect honesty above all else. You do not hide what you are. What I am is confused and jet-lagged. Is there coffee on this planet? We have a stimulant beverage similar to what you describe. I will show you. They walked through the Crystal City talking. Donghae asked direct questions about Vrin society. Vel answered honestly, then asked his own questions about human mining operations, civilian life, and why humans seemed so obsessed with caffeinated beverages. It's simple, Donghae explained. Humans are tired a lot. Coffee helps. We're very practical that way. Your entire civilization runs on a stimulant beverage? More or less. Well, that and stubbornness. Humans are very stubborn. We noticed. Over the following months, something remarkable happened. The Vrin began to change. Not dramatically, not quickly, but steadily. They started focusing less on military glory and more on scientific advancement. They began building instead of conquering. They asked questions instead of making demands. And through it all, Donghae served as ambassador, explaining human philosophy in simple, practical terms that the Vrin could understand. He didn't give grand speeches about peace and cooperation. He just showed them how humans actually lived and worked. We mine asteroids because asteroids have resources, he explained to a group of Vrin officers. We explore space because it's interesting. We build things because we need them. It's not complicated. But you became so powerful, one officer protested. Surely that required grand strategy. Military planning? We became powerful by accident. We built strong shields because space is dangerous. We made powerful tools because we had work to do. Nobody sat down and said, let's become more powerful than everyone else. We were just trying to survive and do interesting things. The officer looked skeptical. That seems too simple. Most true things are simple. It's lies that get complicated. Back on Earth, President Nari received reports on the Vrin situation. They were positive. The Empire was transitioning from a conquest-based society to something more peaceful. Trade agreements were being discussed. Scientific collaboration was beginning. Who knew that accidentally winning a war could lead to friendship? She remarked to her advisors. The best part, one advisor noted, is that we barely had to do anything. We just kept being ourselves and they realized war wasn't worth it. Let's hope other civilizations figure that out before they declare war on us. On Defense Station Obsidian 7, Commander Minho received another declaration of war. This one was from the Kelthrian Star Alliance, angry about trade route disputes. He read it, sighed, and forwarded it to Central Command with a note. Another one. Referenced the Vrin incident. They might want to reconsider. 3 days later, the Kelthrian sent an apology and a request for trade negotiations. Minho smiled and finished his coffee. Just another Tuesday in human space, where wars were won through indifference and peace was maintained through the simple act of not caring enough to fight properly. The galaxy was learning a valuable lesson. Humanity was too busy building the future to waste time on war, and somehow that made them more formidable than any military empire that had come before.